Good morning. I will be cooking something with broad beans today. Not sure yet, but some of you have asked to take a little tour of our vegetable patch. And there she is, Julie. She is picking some broad beans.
Lovely view,
Lovely views indeed, yes. It's a lovely day, so we thought take the opportunity to do a little bit of a harvest.
Okay, so we're picking some of the broad beans. For those of you who haven't seen broad beans inside, there's an awful lot of pod and not much bean, to be fair. If I can get in them. And there they are. There's lots of lovely pod and just the 5 beans. But they'll be lovely. They're lovely, aren't they? We've been eating them raw. Delicious. Okay, so you ready? So these broad beans are actually half are aqua dulce and then the other half I can't remember. I tried 2 different types. So far they're all going mad, so I'm really pleased. Hopefully, we had some yesterday, didn't we, for a roast, and they were delish. But yeah, I shall just pick enough for him to cook whatever it is he's cooking later, and then
Something delicious.
Something delicious, and then I hope to freeze a load as well because we really like them, don't we? Gave my mum a big pile, so she was happy.
When did you plant them?
When did I plant them? That's a very good question. I think I got them going in March. 2 lots actually. I staggered them, so I've got a little bit of a longer season.
Okay, so while we are here, why don't you give me a tour now?
Okay, or a tour of my garden.
People have asked for a tour, so there you go.
Number 1, I should show you my lovely raised beds that my lovely husband made me. I've got some carrots and onions in there, some lettuce and some leeks, spring onions as well. Try to keep everything away from the slugs. We've got a real problem this year with slugs and snails. And that's a little one there again, same again, but that one I've just yanked out all the lettuce that was over and put new seeds in yesterday. So there's not quite so much activity in there. Quick look at the greenhouse, that's obvious. Tomatoes, I've got an aubergine, as always. I've spent a fortune on this aubergine and then I haven't even got one aubergine on it yet. That is the norm. This might be the last time I try.
So you haven't got an aubergine, really?
No. Well, I had 2 and they went mouldy when we were away. I think they were too damp. Anyway, lots of parsley you can see there and some basil. I've got some chilies and peppers. Yeah, so yeah, pleased with that. Oh, and a lovely, my cucumber plant, which yet again, lots of them did get mouldy, but there's lots at the top. Look, can you zoom in on those?
Yeah.
We've had a terrible summer this year in England, so it's not been great. Here I have got some artichokes, my first artichoke. They're quite new plants, so they need to get established. These are all peas. Lots of peas hanging here. Look, I need to harvest these today, look.
Yeah, definitely.
They're delicious. I had some for breakfast about an hour ago. I've got French beans, borlotti beans up the middle. Got some fennel. Not quite sure if I'm thinking that's worked or not, but we'll see. Got raspberries at the back there, loads of potatoes. And some kale, dwarf French beans. This is lettuce for the tortoises.
Oh, the tortoises.
A little baby lettuce for them. More French beans. More kale. I like kale. Then we've got some onions and some spinach.
Where are the onions? Oh, here.
Onions are there, look, and some spinach.
Spinach there at the back.
At the back. I've got odd potatoes everywhere because they just self-seed from wherever I had them last year, which, you know, free potatoes.
Is that fig over there? No, what is it?
No, that's my apple, with only
apple.
2 apples on.
Yeah.
That's quite a young tree I'm trying to espalade there. So I have got a fig up the corner there, which has got lots of figs on.
Show me.
So here's my fig.
I think there is one, yeah.
I need
one there,
my lovely husband to help me put some wire on the wall so we can try and train it up and along the boards, because it's obviously
this lovely husband.
that would be you, dear. I've got a whole list of jobs to do in my veg patch. And then I bought this in error, picked up the wrong plant, but look at him. I'm going to pick him later. He's a little green round courgette.
Oh,
Never tried that one before, but he should be nice.
Can I cook the leaves?
Do you know what? We need to look that up. I would have thought so. Can't see why not.
My mama would be proud.
So we can make some proper
pasta
con la foglia with it.
And what about those tortoises? Shall we show the tortoises?
Let me leave them down. Strawberries too.
So these are your strawberries bed.
Do you want me to show the celery?
Oh, this is my celery plant I keep going on about. It's massive, look at that.
It's gone to seed a bit now. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it actually. I think I might hack it back a bit and let it kind of
Yes.
go again. It's gone a bit mad while we were away. Got some strawberries too. They haven't done brilliantly this year. Not enough sun. And this is the tortoise enclosure. Oh, hello. One's out. You nearly stood on you, my woman. This is Templeton, our daughter's tortoise.
Hello, Templeton. She never answered me back.
No.
Where is Talia?
Talia's probably, if you mind your bum over there. There she is, she's coming out.
Oh, there's Talia. I still do not know how you distinguish them, but there you go.
She's a little bit more domed and she's shinier normally. She's been digging down in the muck, so she's...
Although Talia is not ours.
No, she's our son's girlfriend's one who we're looking after at the moment.
Okay. Thank you very much.
At the end of the tour of the garden. Ciao, ciao for now. Got to do it properly. Ciao, ciao for now.
And I am back. We have got this agreement. Julie grows them and I cook them. This is part of the crop which I have peeled. Actually, Julie's peeled most of them, and I will not be using them all. But I've decided to make a lasagna, an interesting one. I'm sure that you will find it very interesting. But before I start, I wanted to also show you. This is more or less the entire crop of peas. And quite a lot there. Julie has peeled them all, and they will be blanched, they will go in the freezer, and as and when we need them, they'll be there. Wonderful. I'm going to weigh the broad beans so that you got an idea of quantities. I think 3 handfuls will be enough. How much do they weigh? 229. I'll make it to 250, and also you can use frozen broad beans if you like. They will be also very nice. I'm now removing the skin. I'm peeling the broad beans, including the little bit on the top. It's important that you do that because the skin would be bitter and it would be spoiling the taste of your dish. The good thing is that you don't have to be too delicate about it, so you can just cut into the beans as well, as I will be crushing them in any case. And just go in with your finger, and it's actually quite easy and quite therapeutic. But if you're using frozen broad beans, you will find that this job is considerably easier. Just by squishing them, they come off. And I'm nearly done. It has taken me about 15 minutes, so not too bad. Here's the last one. They look similar, but clearly the inside weighs considerably more than the peel. This is approximately, most probably, 2/3 of the weight in here. And I'm gonna give this back to Julie for a compost bin. Next, I will split my pile of broad beans into 2, approximately half and half. I've placed half of the broad beans in a saucepan with some olive oil and crushed in a large clove of garlic. And now that it's sizzling, I'm going to turn the temperature slightly down onto a medium. A couple of minutes in, as they've been cooking and they're even more tender, I'm going in with a fork and I start crushing them. Keep the heat on a medium to low, otherwise the garlic will burn and it'll become really bitter. I got here a joint of Parma ham, which actually was a present from my children for Father's Day. And I'm now removing the hard skin, but I will leave a little fat as well. And I'm now doing a couple of slices, approximately 1/2 centimeter each slice. I'm now making some strips, approximately also 1/2 centimeter thick each strip. Turn it around and I'm making now some tiny little cubes, again 1/2 centimeter each piece. If you are vegetarian, by the way, you do not need to add Parma ham, or you do not need to add any meat. Equally well, if you do not have access to Parma ham, you can use pancetta or you can use bacon. I'm using Parma ham because I've got Parma ham in the fridge. Back to my broad beans, they are almost all disintegrated, and I'm now adding my Parma ham. Quick mix, turn the temperature up, and I'm now going to add 1/2 glass of white wine. This is dry. And while the alcohol from the wine evaporates, I'm continuing my mashing with the fork to try and get the broad beans to make a lovely little cream. I've added wine because of the Parma ham, but if you're vegetarian, you can add water instead. 1/2 glass of hot water would be perfect. Perfect, the alcohol has evaporated. I'm now going to add the remaining broad beans, the ones which are still whole. But I will not be crushing this, so that I will have a creamy effect to my lasagna, but also the texture of the beans. And they will not take long to cook because they are fresh. After a couple of minutes, I've got a nice thick mixture and hardly any liquid. And I'm going to be adding now 250 milliliters of hot water. Again, if you are vegetarian and you're making a vegetarian version, this is additional water to what you would have added before. Half a liter of cold milk. This is semi-skimmed. You can also use skimmed or whole milk if you wish. And I'm adding now 45 grams of flour, normal plain flour. Quick mix with a spoon until the flour has been absorbed by the milk. And as my water has reached boiling point, I'm going to be adding my milk and flour together. You'll have noticed that I've not added any salt. This is because the Parma ham is salty, so I don't really want to add any more salt. But if you're using anything that is unsalted, such as bacon, or indeed if you're making a vegetarian version, you will need to add a little salt to taste. When Julie was giving us a tour of the vegetable patch this morning, she pointed out to a fennel plant. So I'm using some of the leaves now and chopping them with a knife. And I'm gonna add it to the sauce as well. This will give an incredible flavor to my lasagna, but also you can use mint if you like. You don't have to use fennel, and if you do not have clearly this plant, you can use fennel seeds. And I'll mix this for a good couple of minutes. I'm waiting until the sauce is a little bit thicker so that I can start putting the lasagna together. And here it is, I'm ready, and I'm happy that it's the consistency I want. I've also tested it for salt, and I suspected I don't need to add any salt. And I'm ready to start putting my lasagna together, so I'll put a little sauce at the very bottom first. I'm using fresh lasagna today, and it's very easy to cut. Look, I'll show you. Just get hold of it and you bend it, and very easily just job done. And I'll do the next layer with some sauce first. I've made a few lasagna dishes, and I always say that start with a little sauce, and then you can add more and more as you progressively go up in layers, as the sauce will find its way down. The broad beans are very sweet, and I'm going to be enhancing their flavor by now adding some sun-dried tomatoes. These are sun-dried tomatoes which I've purchased in sunflower oil, so they are already marinated, and I just put enough to taste really. Also, not sure if you can see, they come with some capers, which I'm going to be adding. Capers are a little bit sharper in taste, and there will be a nice balance to the sweetness. And here I've got some olives, again, to contrast the sweetness of the broad beans and the sun-dried tomatoes alongside the capers. I've decided that olives will go very well with this dish. So again, if you don't like olives, don't put them in, but I highly recommend them. And before I move on to the next layer, I'm now sprinkling a little Parmesan cheese. So off I go again. As you go up, you might have to remove some of the corners, otherwise it will not fit in your dish, depending what you're using, of course. I'm about to complete the second layer. This time, instead of using Parmesan cheese, I'm going to be using a little mozzarella. This is a fresh ball of mozzarella, so it's just a few pieces, and I will alternate Parmesan and then mozzarella. The rest is the same. And I'm now doing my last layer. I've managed 4 layers altogether. Anything between 4 or 5 layers is an excellent number of layers for a good lasagna. And as this is the very top layer, I've decided that I will be using both mozzarella and some Parmesan cheese. I'm doing the mozzarella first, followed by one final sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. And it's ready for the oven. Like all my lasagna, I cook them for 35 minutes. Mine is a fan assisted oven, 180 degrees. The first 20 minutes covered up with some tin foil, and then I will be removing the tin foil for the last 15. If you've got a normal conventional oven, same amount of time, same procedure, but temperature 200. See you in about 40 minutes. And wonderful, I'm back. I've been out of the oven now for a good 5-7 minutes maybe. And you will see that it's got a lovely golden crust. My 20 plus 15 at 180 degrees works a treat. Regardless how big it is, it's really the right amount. Do let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes, because it will be considerably easier for you to do what I'm doing now, but also when you serve it, because it will have set a little, it will stay in one piece.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, oops. Ooh,
and you won't burn your tongue.
I won't burn your tongue, no. And you will have noticed that my vegetable supplier is back because it's dinner time.
Because it's dinner time and there's food.
And interestingly, as I'm chopping through it, I can smell like pizza. I think it's because the combination of the Parma ham with the Parmesan cheese and also the mozzarella, having been in Italy and had pizza 4 times,
Yeah.
it's reminding me of that, which is quite pleasant as well. I've noticed.
Are we having half each? We haven't had pasta for a whole, what did we say, 4 days? 4 days, no pasta.
Yes.
I've got withdrawal symptoms.
I've noticed that there is a little bit of liquid on the top. Do not worry, that is perfectly normal. I did add 250 milliliters of water, if you remember, to make sure that it stays nice and moist.
There we go, fingers crossed.
And having scored it and having let it rest for a good 10 minutes now, you will see that this is very easy. Look, very, very simple. As I mentioned earlier, it's retaining its shape beautifully.
You did, and it is.
And if you look carefully, you can see my layers, and look, there's an olive in there, another olive in there, the Parma ham and the sun-dried tomatoes, and it's really, really nice. And after all the hard work comes pleasure. Let's test some. Let's have a look. Ooh, that's lovely. Oh, the smell. Oh, that is really nice. Really delicious. You can definitely taste the freshness of the broad beans and the sweetness of the sun-dried tomatoes, but perfectly balanced with the olives and the capers. And of course, the Parma ham, which is optional if you are clearly vegetarian. Deliziosa, lasagna deliziosa, buonissima. I'm not just saying it. Buon appetito. Ciao ciao.